Is there something big that you want to accomplish? Some pie-in-the-sky dream that seems impossible? The secret to making that dream a reality is to set goals. Keep watching to learn how. Hi, my name is Beth and welcome to my channel, Born to be a Nomad. My dream is to travel full-time in an RV as a digital nomad. If you haven't seen it yet, I have an intro video where I explain who I am and what my channel's about. I'll link it in the cards above if you're interested. Yay! I have 2 videos, so I can link one in the cards above. Okay, back to topic. Whenever I decided I wanted to live full-time in an RV, I started planning out everything I needed to do. And almost immediately, I became overwhelmed. How would I make a living? Should I sell my house or should I rent it? Do I want a Class A, a Class B, a Class C, a travel trailer, or a fifth wheel? If I get a travel trailer or a fifth wheel, I'm going to need a truck. What kind of truck? How am I going to buy a truck? Do I buy the truck or the camper first? Do I buy used? Do I get new? How am I going to pay for all this? Yeah. So I did what any self-respecting queen of Google would do. I Googled, what's the best way to accomplish a goal? I found 2 things. One, the SMART acronym came up. I'll link a relevant article down below. And 2, a video by Dave Ramsey, How to Set Goals. I'll link that as well. They both came up in my search. Then it hit me. I have a background in project management. I was already familiar with the SMART acronym. I need to treat this, my goal to be a digital nomad, like I would any project. So, back to the SMART acronym. What is it? It stands for specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-related. I have my notes over here, so that's why I keep looking over there in case you're wondering why I'm looking off. So, what does specific mean? Here is a high overview of the SMART criteria. First, specific. Specific means that it needs to target one specific area of the goal. Measurable means that you need to quantify it. In other words, set benchmarks that can be measured. Achievable means how realistic is the goal. Keeping in mind that sometimes outside things affect the outcome. For instance, say I want to rent out my house whenever I go on the road. Well, does my loan allow that? I have an FHA-backed loan, and generally, after you've lived in your house a year, yes, you can rent it out. But after doing some research, my particular community-backed program doesn't allow it. So if I wanted to keep my house, what would I do? I could stop and say, never mind, I'm just going to sell it. Or I could look into other options, like refinancing to a different loan, something that does allow for me to rent out my house, which is what I plan on doing. If we hit roadblocks, we have to decide, are we going to stop or are we going to figure out a way around them? Next, the goal needs to be relevant. This is about making sure that it's something that is really important to you, your why, if you will. The last element is time-related. What is my target date for making my goal a reality? And then break it down further. What can I accomplish in 6 months? Or what can I accomplish in 6 weeks? Or in 6 days? And what can I accomplish today? The last thing is to write it all down. So write down your goals, write down your plan, whether it's in a spreadsheet or in a notebook, whatever you're most comfortable with. It's important that you write it down so that you can track and see, what you've accomplished and what you have left to accomplish. When working on a project at work, I usually use a spreadsheet or a project tracking software such as Spreadsheet. So that's what I'm going to use this time. I found a free Spreadsheet downloadable on their website, and I'll link it in the description below. It can be used in Excel, or it can also be used in Google Sheets. It's compatible with both. Now I'm going to walk you step by step through the process of setting goals and how to track them. By the way, if you're finding value in this video, I'd really appreciate it if you'd give it a like and also subscribe to my channel so you'll see my future videos in your feed. Thank you. Hi there. Okay, so the picture has changed because I'm using my webcam. I'm showing you my desktop window. Here I have the spreadsheet that I downloaded from smartsheet.com. Again, the link will be down in the description below, and I have it open in Excel. Please remember, I like using spreadsheets. I have a background in data analysis, so that's what I like using, but you really don't have to it doesn't have to be this complicated if you don't want it to be. Something as simple as a notebook can work. I'll explain that further, as we get down in it. Oh, and by the way, my hair's different because I recorded this earlier, but it was just terrible. So I deleted it and I'm starting over, just in case you're wondering why the look is different. Okay, so back to the spreadsheet. First, I'm going to do a little bit of cleanup to make it more user-friendly. What you see now is exactly how it was when I downloaded it from smartsheet.com. So first, let's get rid of this huge graphic. I'm just going to right-click on it, and then I'm going to remove the link because if I tried clicking on it, it would take us to the Smartsheet website. So I'm just right-clicking on it, and I'm going to hit delete to get rid of that. Yay, looks a lot better. Okay, and then I'm also going to get rid of this extra row. I could just make the row smaller, but to me it's unnecessary. So anywho, I selected it. I'm going to go up here to delete and delete sheet rows. Okay, there we go. Now I'm also going to just right click and delete the disclaimer tab, but you really don't have to. It's just up to you. I just like to clean things up. Okay, and I'm also going to scroll over here. I'm going to select these columns that contain the cost and the hours because that's not really relevant for me tracking my goals. So now I'm just going to hit delete. Okay, and Control Home will take us back to the beginning. All right, I'm going to use this tab because it's set up how I like. However, you'll notice down here at the bottom, it says blank project tracking. There is a blank tab there is a blank spreadsheet if you prefer to start from scratch, but this one's less work for me. So that's what I'm going to use. Okay, so before we get started, there's something really important that we need to talk about when it comes to goals. If you're going to set a high goal for yourself, in order to make it achievable, it has to be broken down into smaller steps. And those steps may need to be broken down into smaller steps, and so on and so forth, until you have a feasible, manageable plan. That's what the spreadsheet is for. So let's get started, and I'm just going to use myself as an example. So for me, my goal is to live full-time in an RV as a digital nomad. So right here where it says project tracking template, I'm going to figure out which cell it's in. There it is. I'm going to put my goal, which is living life as a digital nomad. Okay, that's my goal. And I'm even going to fancy it up by putting goal. So I've typed in my main goal, living life as a digital nomad. Okay, so like I said before, my main goal needs to be broken down into smaller steps. So what are those smaller tasks? First, I have pay down debt. Then I have get my house ready to rent. I have buy an RV, buy a truck. So for me, those are the tasks that I'm going to focus on right now to accomplish my ultimate goal. As I start checking things off and learning in the process, they'll probably change and expand, and that's okay. I can just change my spreadsheet as I go. So those tasks that I came up with, I'm going to type them in the spreadsheet under project name. So the first one was pay down debt. Okay, and then number 2, I had get house ready to rent. Next, I have buy an RV, and it looks like I'm out of the gray ones, so I'm gonna, selecting the row, I hit Control C to copy it. Then I'm gonna select this row here and hit Control V to paste it. So that way it copied and pasted the formatting, the pretty cell color or the row colors. Okay, so then I can just change the text in here to say buy a truck. So I'm going to scroll back up here. So for the sake of time, I'm only going to break down my first task, paying down debt. But once I have the whole spreadsheet filled out, I'll make it available on my blog over at borntobeanomad.com. So be sure to go head over there, sign up for my blog post, and you'll get a notification whenever I post it. By the way, if you're using a notebook to track your goal, give each of these large tasks here a page, add a column for the deadline, and then just cross them off, break those down into manageable tasks, and then cross each of them off as you go. And so it really can be as simple as you want it. It doesn't have to be this complicated, but I like complicated, so that's what we're gonna do. Oh, and by the way, before we get too far into the weeds, let me give a quick overview about what each element of spreadsheet means. Okay, so the first column here, at risk, that means, is this task at risk of not being completed? I'm going to go ahead and clear these boxes. Okay, next you have status. As you can see with the examples here, your options are complete, in progress, overdue, not started, or on hold. I am just going to select each cell and then delete them to clear out this information. As you're working on your tasks, you can select a status so that you know where you're at in the process. And then the same with priority, your options are high, medium, or low. How important is this particular task to making sure this project sub-goal, whatever you want to call it, how important is it to seeing that that's completed? So I'm going to go ahead and clear those out as well by just hitting delete. And then the next column is deadline. What is your deadline for making sure that that particular task or project or goal or whatever is completed. Okay, and then here you have the column that has tasks. This is where you'll put the steps that break down the larger goal, and then a description if you feel like it needs a description, and then the deliverable, which is what you are creating or what your end goal is for this task. I'll give you, some examples in just a minute. And by the way, in case you were wondering, these over here are the options that are used in these drop-down boxes. You can actually change them if you want to, and then it would change what's in that box. Okay, so first I'm just going to, for the sake of time, I'm just going to do pay down debt. So what are the tasks that I have for pay down debt? Well, let me set my deadline. My deadline that I want to have my debt completely paid down, I'm going to be really aggressive here, and I'm going to say in a year. So let's put September 30th of 2022 because I like round numbers. So my first task that I've identified is how much debt to pay off. If you're going to pay off your debt, you need to know exactly how much you have to pay off, which I actually looked it up earlier because in my last video I mentioned $22,000, but I've actually paid off some on that. And so right now the total debt that I have to pay off is $20,347.32. This one I can mark as complete, and I'm going to put today's date as the deadline. Okay, so my next task that I have is create a budget. It's really important that you have a budget. Well, I was going to say whenever you're paying down debt, but you really need a budget anytime so that you know exactly how much you have coming in and how much you have going out. One of my upcoming videos, I'm going to cover this more in depth, but for right now, I'm just going to add the line item. If you are looking for more information, I really recommend looking up Dave Ramsey. On his website, he has free printables available for how to create a budget. There's a lot of information that's available out there for free. If you want to read more of his books, you can check them out from the library. He has some really good information. And I also recommend looking up here on YouTube, there's a page called Budget Girl, and she gives some fantastic information. She paid off $33,000 in student loans on a salary of $26,000 a year. So I really recommend her content. I'll link all of the Dave printables and Budget Girls information down in the comments below. I think that they have some great stuff available. So I'm going to set the deadline for this as Monday, which I believe is the 11th, because I pretty much already have it done. So I'm going to put this one as in progress and high. And that it's really important to have a budget. So my deliverable will be completed budget. Okay, the next thing that I have is reduce bills and cut down on spending. Once my budget's finished, I will use that to identify areas where I can reduce spending and adjust my budget accordingly. So I'm going to put that one as Monday as well, since I can kind of do this one simultaneously with the budget. This one I have not started. It's high. These, you can fill out your percentages done if you want to. I mean, it's really, if you were doing a large project with multiple people, it would be great. But it's really just extra information, which I can't believe I'm saying that because I usually like filling out stuff, but I'm just going to leave it blank. As you can see, I've added my last task here, which is side hustles. My deliverable on this will be spreadsheet of opportunities. Okay, so what I'm going to do is create a spreadsheet or a list of things that I can do to help make extra money. Whether I can declutter my house and sell extra household items that I no longer need, or collectibles or jewelry. If you make pottery, you can open an Etsy shop. One of the things I'm looking into, and I'll have a video on this in the future, will be creating and selling digital items. I really don't have a creative bone in my body, so I don't paint, or I'm not into pottery or planting or anything like that. But I do like computers, and I'm pretty good, creating things online. There are opportunities for creating and selling spreadsheets and checklists and other digital items, things like that. So stay tuned. I'm going to give that a try and we'll see how it goes. If I wanted to, I could further break down my list by identifying the things that I plan to sell. But for now, my deliverable is just going to be create a spreadsheet. Okay, I think that we're going to leave off here. Like I said, over the next couple of days, I'm going to finish filling out this spreadsheet and I'll make it available on my blog, borntobeanomad.com. So please, if you will, go over there and subscribe so that you don't miss it. Okay, thanks. I hope you found this helpful. I will link to my blog post in the description below. It can be found on my website, borntobeanomad.com. And my cat Loki is scratching at my leg. Hold on. All right, this is Loki. Everybody say hi. Hi, Loki. If you have any questions at all, please just leave them in the comments below. I'll do my best to answer them. And, if you have any tips or tricks for reaching your goals, please leave those in the comments. I'd love to read them, find out what's worked for you, what hasn't. And thanks again for watching my video. I really appreciate it. Okay, I was into that. If you will, be sure and hit that like button and consider subscribing before you leave. I'd also love to connect with you on social media on Facebook or Instagram. Thanks. Bye.